If you feel like you are overthinking things in your language learning routine, then you probably are. But I'm not blaming you or shaming you. This is such a common reaction to second guessing yourself, not trusting yourself. We don't have to overcomplicate things in order for our language learning process to be effective. And in fact, if you are trying to overcomplicate things so much, that's usually a sign that you're searching for control, that you are scared of experimenting outside of what you have seen other people doing that you feel like you should also do, trying to copy someone else. That backfires on us because then we are lost at how we personally learn best with our own life circumstances and our own energy. So let's start thinking about how we can simplify what you already have. The first tip that I'm going to give is that we can overcomplicate things a lot when we think about how to actually speak fluently in a language. I'm telling you right now, if you are not an absolute beginner that knows nothing of the language, right, you're just starting out, then you already have what it takes to start speaking right now. No matter if you are a lower beginner, an intermediate, an upper intermediate who has been scared of speaking for a while, you really actually only need to start with 5 words and 3 minutes. So this also really works well if you have a very limited time to spend on language learning throughout your week. It is truly possible to build fluency with only those 5 words, because the real thing is we try to kid ourselves into thinking that we just need more vocabulary or we just need to be more prepared to speak by studying more and doing more lessons. But I'm here to tell you right now, you already know the words, especially if you're facing the dilemma of understanding others but not being able to respond in the exact same way. It's not a vocabulary problem or a grammar problem, it is a recall problem. And so being able to understand and diagnose the problem correctly and then being able to literally just start with 5 words you already know is the building block of being able to get you to fluency, right? And stay consistent in your own way with that. I highly suggest you go down to the pinned comment below and grab my 3-minute speaking fluency formula training. It's totally free. My exact process to simplify how you work on speaking more fluently while meeting yourself where you are and getting you to see that consistent progress in fluency. Another tip I want to give is very highly related to the speaking tip I just detailed, because it's really about giving yourself permission to just get into action. I will add a caveat that getting into action isn't in absolutely 100% every language learning situation the best answer for what you should do next, right? But if you find yourself saying to yourself, okay, I can't do this until I feel more prepared. If you are not using that so-called preparation time in order to truly reflect on what you need, what you want, what you desire for your own language learning, you're just sitting in procrastination and not taking action, this is your permission to simplify all that overthinking in your head that you're doing and use that mental energy on worrying. Instead, put it in a more productive space and actually get into action, just trying something, making the smallest step that you can think of in carrying out your language learning plan to get and move that meter a little bit closer to where you want to go. So again, I'm going to reference speaking. If you are really wanting to speak your language, what is the easiest, smallest step that you could take right now, not a week from now when you're more prepared, right now, in order to get you to build a habit of where you want to go? That could look like what I just said. Find the 5 words that you really like to use, that you are already familiar with, and start there with the training. But this can also look like not wanting to tackle a certain skill like writing. Say that you need to take an official language exam. You want to pass the writing part, but you haven't really written a lot. Even being able to buy the material or the materials for that, or talking with a teacher that you have about common expressions that you use in order to write. Those are really small things that you can use to, again, push the metric a little bit more towards where you want to go. But the fact is you're taking action, because by taking action and planning intentional reflection time to ask yourself, how what you did either worked or didn't work for you, that is where experimentation can really happen on your own terms. If you are holding yourself back and wanting to feel more prepared, you most likely have rules in your head curated from what you've seen other language learners doing, and you feel like you have a lot of shoulds about, okay, this is productive, this isn't, this is what I should do, why can't I do it right now? Like, you see the spiral mentally that we can really busy ourselves with every single day that we go into a study session with, and just allowing yourself to experiment and asking more questions and being curious more than judgmental about what you should already know, etc. That's going to take you so much further in being able to act and implement on what you actually want to get better at in your language. Again, I say this all as a caveat because if you are just taking action without the reflection component in there, then that is also not doing you much good either. This is what I love working with language learners on, truly understanding how they learn best through combining reflection with useful and sustainable strategies, and the Mindful Fluency Method, which is what I created to use and coach through my own curriculum. So if you are looking for a language learning coach, make sure to book a free discovery call down below to see if we'd be a good fit. How else can we not overcomplicate things? How can we simplify? Resources are such a overwhelming thing sometimes, even though they can feel very exciting once we stumble upon something that we really think is going to be the magical ticket to fluency. I'm here to tell you right now, there is no one thing that's going to be the magical ticket. However, putting boundaries, right, on how many resources we are using and cycling through at one time, as well as giving ourselves sufficient time to use them to actually determine if we see lasting results from them, is so important to simplifying our language learning process. I always give a rule of 2 to 5 resources, especially if we're not advanced yet. When you're advanced, you can use pretty much whatever you would like, depending on your goals, right? But before that, if you are juggling like 10 to 15 textbooks and you're wondering, hey, like I want to include this program, and you're falling victim to shiny object syndrome, then I really highly suggest you take a good look at your resources and understand what is, for me right now, useful, sustainable, and enjoyable. And if one resource is not all 3 of those things, this is based on my 3 principles of language learning, by the way, then it's time to see what other resource can replace that. Again, another way that having too many resources can be detrimental for us is that we start, again, outsourcing our confidence, not to another person's routine this time, but to the resource itself, because we think that, okay, now I have to do absolutely everything that this resource, maybe a textbook, maybe a program, tells me to do, when in actuality, the resource is there to help me fill in what I need from it. That means I don't necessarily need to do absolutely every single thing, comb through absolutely every single lesson or whatever they offer the whole time. I get to choose what I want to focus on. And that also applies to how many resources I use. You do not need all the resources in the world. Give yourself permission today to do an audit of what your resources are looking like. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help my videos find other language learners who are also in the same boat as you, and I do want to help as many people as possible. Other than that, I'd love to hear in the comments below, what was your biggest takeaway from this video? What other problems are you facing in your language learning that you'd like me to make a video about? I'm open, and we'll see each other in another video very soon.